It's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're speaking with Susan Solovic, author of The 1% Edge. Susan, in order for a company to do this, because these are skills, and it's easy for you, you know this stuff, but is it best to bring insiders for a meeting or to get together or review this, or would you recommend bringing an outside person in who may see in a few seconds something that inside person has been doing for years, never realized that that's irritating, or that customers have changed and they're kind of moving away or getting older or something? How do we go about this?
I think both would be a good idea, actually, because you're absolutely right. Sometimes people outside our businesses can see things that, we just don't pick up on, and so it's a great way to get some of that outside thinking. Not that you're necessarily going to listen to everything that they say, but it certainly is a good idea. And then also, you really do need to have some of your key players involved on this, because a lot of times they see things and they don't speak up. So you want to empower them to be creative. This is a kind of thing that you want to make sure that people understand. There is no such thing as a crazy idea. Let's just throw it out there and see what makes sense. You never know. And the other thing that I really encourage people to do is to get out of their own personal ruts. So, if you drive to work the same way every day, you get on autopilot. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I get in the car and I'm supposed to be going somewhere else, but the place I normally drive every day, I'm just headed that direction before I even know it.
You've been watching me.
There you go. I'm Big Brother in your car.
That's right.
But you have to kind of break those habits in order to see what's really out there and not let your mind go on autopilot. So try new things. Maybe if you've never tried ballroom dancing, go out and take a ballroom dancing class. Read things you wouldn't normally read. Watch a kind of movie that you wouldn't normally watch. Just really open your mind to think creatively. I don't know if you ever remember that movie, Working Girl, but Melanie Griffith comes up with an idea, and she, pretends like she's her boss who is out skiing somewhere and then has a broken leg, and she actually puts this whole deal together, and the boss comes back, and they're trying to get her out of it, and she gets fired. And then at the very end, the players at B say, well, how did you come up with this idea? And she pulls out a society page, and she said, well, I saw this about this wedding, and then I was looking at this about somebody else, and she said, I just put it all together. And she said, you never know where the big ideas are going to come from. And it's really kind of true. You might be able to look around and see something's happening in another industry, and you go, hey, wait a minute, that might work in my business. So that's how you come up with those ideas.
And I think, and I'm going to go back to the first part of the show, what resonated with me is if you're marching in place, if you haven't put in a few of these new ideas or new concepts recently, you're slipping to the rear literally every day, every month, and there's not going to be too many more years for you and the people that you employ. So
right.
If for no other reason, you better get going.
Right, exactly. And I actually, we were talking when I spoke yesterday, when I keynoted, about the demographics change, and the millennials now outnumber the baby boomers. And you see companies that now sort of have this reputation of being the grandfather's company, like Cadillac and Avon and Tupperware. They're all trying to shift to change their image to appeal to a younger audience. So I said to the group that I was speaking to, which mostly smaller businesses, I said, look at your materials. Are your customers aging? Are you appealing to a dying market? And no pun intended there. I said, but if you haven't updated your website and your marketing materials for like 20 years, that's like getting out your high school yearbook picture and using it as your headshot. It's time to kind of freshen things up and get a new look.
And I think that's a great example, because a lot of us, just the mere fact that you said they're trying to shift, which kind of indicates to me this is something they should have done years ago. But I'm going to blame you because you only wrote the book now. You should have written the book years ago so we would know about this 1%
it's just
edge.
like my husband. He always blames me. It's always my fault, right?
There you go. So we have something in common.
Right.
Susan, I want our audience to know, if they didn't catch it before, the book is The 1% Edge. It's by our guest, Susan Solovic, Solovic. And you're in an airport, you're sitting there reading. This is not a difficult read. And if you want to help your business, or even your spouse's business, your son's business, whoever, get hold of it. Read it. How can you make that business better? That 1% change might make all the difference. Susan, the website and where we can get the book?
Well, you can get it any online bookseller or in bookstores, or visit my website, which is susansolovic.com. It's also available online in a Kindle version and an audio version.
And if nothing else, you'll sound really smart at work relating these companies that went out of business, talking about what Susan says, and somebody's going to say, that person should get a promotion. They're really on the ball.
That's right. And I love it. And then they can just send me a little bit of a commission for getting that promotion.
All right. That's fair enough. I like that. Now, Susan, you mentioned that we're all trained to be linear thinkers. First of all, tell us what you mean by that and how this does not foster innovation.
Right. So, we're all taught in school to learn what the teacher says, and then we regurgitate it on a test. So it's really memorization. There's nothing creative about it. There's no strategic problem solving, nothing. I majored in history because I have a great memory, and I could memorize everything, go in and write the essays, and then get an A+, and boom, I'd walk out the door and forget about it. So I think that in this environment, what we need to do is understand that if you're using a case study, and I actually taught an MBA class before, but if you're using case studies, you're trying to follow a blueprint, you're trying to follow some kind of well-worn path, you're already too late. Because what you need to do here is be the one who is willing to step out on a new path, to forge a new way. And not that you're taking big risks, as I said before, it's not disruptive technology like we saw in the taxi industry with Uber, but it is those things that say, I'm just different. I live in Florida, and I was walking the beach the other day, and there were a number of seagulls flocking to, the fooding frenzy at the edge of the water, all of that. And I was watching them, but they're all doing the same thing. But there was one seagull who was kind of bouncing up and down, keeping up with everybody, but bouncing. And I looked over, and he had one leg. And not only did he capture my attention, but he captured my heart. And he had that noticeable difference. Not a big difference. It wasn't hindering him, but he had a noticeable difference. And that's what companies today need to do. You need to position yourself so your customer base can only get that particular thing from you, and that you not only provide that, but you capture their hearts and engage them. And that's really critically important. Jerry Garcia once said, it's not enough to be the best at what you do. It's important to be perceived as the only one who does what you do. That's the key.
Susan, what about technology? Of course, we hear so much about that. Where does that fit into the 1% edge?
Well, I think technology is a game changer. So technology allows small businesses, not only, as we talked earlier, to get their message, their brand message out there, to reach those customers, to make those connections. I mean, the great thing now is you can build great relationships and rapport with people all around the globe just by being out there in social media. It's also a data listening tool, so you can find out what's happening in the market by using your own CRM systems and analyzing that, looking at Google Analytics, looking at what's happening with your social media presence, by joining discussion groups or forums and joining the conversation and see what's being said. I think all of those are critically important. And then also it enhances productivity. So, you can start a business today with a fraction of the amount of money that you would take years ago because you've got everything at your fingertips. Technology, you don't need office space anymore. You can work virtually. So I think that it is a game changer, and there's so many applications for technology today, from how you make strategic decisions for your business to how you run your business, to even how you hire and retain your talent within your organization, and of course deliver your product and service.
Susan, suppose there's a small local business, anywhere from 10 to maybe 50 people. They want to do this. It makes sense. What would be the process? Do you send around a survey, 10 things you like about the company, 10 things that should change, or do you have a group meeting on 2 or 3 Saturday mornings or every quarter?
Yeah, I would have, like every quarter, a monthly meeting, and sometimes you might even invite some customers. You might invite some people who are non-customers. You might invite people from a different industry. And that's, you really, the survey, people don't feel real comfortable writing down what they think necessarily. I think that really getting that open-ended question, getting that flow of conversation, as I said before, putting those crazy ideas out there, because there is no such thing as a crazy idea. So just really having fun with it and making, and that's critical, making it fun, make it a creative process that everybody feels empowered and comfortable and can just toss ideas out there, because you just never know what's going to work.
Susan, I think you've given us a lot to think about, and really make it kind of simple for us if we follow your advice. The advice is in the book, The 1% Edge, by our guest, Susan Solovic. Susan, once again, can you give us the website and places where we can get the book?
Yes, so my website is susansolovic.com. I'm also on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the social media platforms, Instagram is Susan Solovic. But also all the online retailers have it, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and it's currently in bookstores now too, available just this week. So go out and check it out. If you like it, I hope you'll write me a good review or send me a comment or two.
Or send a check if you really hit it rich, right?
That's right, exactly.
Everybody would be happy with that. Susan, thanks for your time. Thanks for all the good ideas. And thanks in advance for saving our businesses from going down the tubes.
Well, thank you, Bill. It was my pleasure to be on your show. I appreciate it.
Susan would like to remind our audience that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we'll continue our journey to success.